Your CRM is lying to you, not intentionally. But right now, there are deals marked committed that are about to ghost you at the end of the quarter. There are accounts flagged as healthy that are 60 days away from churning. And somewhere in your pipeline, there is a prospect who has visited your pricing page 4 times this week, and nobody on your team knows it yet. This is the problem that revenue intelligence was built to solve. And in 2026, the platforms doing it have become some of the most powerful tools in the entire revenue stack. Welcome back. Today we are breaking down the top revenue intelligence platforms in 2026, what they actually do, who they are built for, where they fall short, and how to figure out which one belongs in your stack. Let's get into it. Before we talk platforms, we need to talk about what actually changed, because this category has shifted dramatically in just the last 18 months. Here is the headline. The revenue intelligence market hit $3.8 billion in 2024 and is growing at a 34.6% compound annual growth rate. That is not a slow burn story. That is a category that is exploding because the pain it solves, inaccurate forecasting, invisible pipeline risk, reps spending more time on admin than on customers, is universally felt. But here is what is more interesting than the growth numbers. The category itself is consolidating at a pace nobody predicted. In December 2025, Gartner published its very first Magic Quadrant for Revenue Action Orchestration, formally recognizing that conversation intelligence, forecasting, and sales engagement are no longer separate categories. They are converging into one. That same month, Clary and Salesloft completed their merger, combining roughly $450 million in ARR and more than 5,000 customers, including Adobe, IBM, and Zoom. 1 month later, in February 2026, HighSpot and Seismic announced their intent to merge as well. The message is clear. The era of assembling a fragmented stack of point solutions is over. The buyers in 2026 are not asking, which call recorder should I use? They are asking, which unified platform can ingest every revenue signal I have? Calls, emails, CRM updates, intent data, product usage, and turn it into a forecast my CFO will actually defend? That is the question we are going to help you answer today. And before we dive into specific platforms, there is one more concept you need to understand, what independent analysts are calling the revenue root cause gap. Most revenue intelligence platforms in 2026 are excellent at telling you what happened to your pipeline. Deals slipped, coverage dropped, a rep's conversion rate fell off a cliff, but almost none of them can tell you why, not with actual evidence from calls, emails, and deal documents stitched together into one coherent explanation. That gap is the frontier where the most interesting innovation is happening right now. All right, let's talk platforms. Gong, if you have spent more than 5 minutes in the revenue intelligence space, you know Gong. It is the category-defining platform, and in 2026, it is positioning itself as what it calls the Revenue AI operating system. Here is what that actually means. At the core of Gong is something called the Revenue Graph, a network of revenue data built by capturing every customer interaction across more than 70 languages, trained on more than 3.5 billion sales interactions. When you use Gong, you are not just recording calls. You are feeding a model that has seen an almost incomprehensible volume of sales behavior. What works, what stalls deals, what triggers objections, and what closes. The conversation intelligence layer uses natural language processing to analyze real-time sentiment, track competitor mentions, flag pricing objections as they surface, and identify when a prospect's engagement is cooling before the rep even senses it. Managers use Gong to review call snippets, share examples of elite discovery conversations, and coach based on actual behavior, not gut feel. Beyond that, Gong now includes Gong Forecast for 360-degree pipeline visibility and granular deal intelligence, Gong Engage for sales engagement automation, and a data cloud capability that lets you pipe enriched interaction data into your BI tools and external platforms. Forrester named Gong the leader in conversation intelligence and also cited it as a leader in revenue orchestration, which is significant because it shows the platform has credibly expanded beyond its conversation intelligence roots. Where does Gong fall short? Two places. First, the platform can feel overwhelming. There is so much data that teams sometimes struggle to identify what is actually actionable versus what is just noise. Second, while Gong has made genuine progress on forecasting and pipeline analytics, the depth of those features still does not match the specialists. If forecasting accuracy is your single most critical need, there are platforms built specifically for that use case. Pricing is custom and quote-based, but independent data puts Gong in the range of $1,300 to $3,000 per user per year, depending on the tier and features. Gong works best for enterprise sales organizations with complex, longer sales cycles, especially teams with high turnover, where Gong's ability to preserve institutional knowledge in a searchable call library becomes genuinely invaluable. Clary plus Salesloft. This merger is the biggest story in the revenue intelligence category right now, and you need to understand what it means, both the opportunity and the risk. Before December 2025, Clary was the enterprise standard for revenue forecasting. Built on what it calls RevDB, a time series revenue data model. Clary's waterfall analytics were the gold standard for tracking pipeline movement. New deals, slippage, pull-ins, push-outs, all visualized across time. Its forecasting engine, trained on years of CRM data, consistently delivered accuracy that one customer described as landing within 3 to 4% every quarter. Gartner named Clary a leader in its inaugural Magic Quadrant for Revenue Action Orchestration in December 2025, and it holds a 4.6 out of 5 on G2. Salesloft, on the other side, had spent 2024 and early 2025 building a credible single-vendor revenue platform by absorbing Drift's conversation intelligence and folding it into its rhythm engagement platform. The result, by the time of the merger, was a genuine all-in-one play. Sequences, dialer, email, call recording, deal AI, and forecasting under one contract. Together, the combined entity is positioning as a full revenue orchestration platform. Clary brings the forecasting rigor. Salesloft brings the execution layer. The deal inspection agents, trend analysis agents, and AI-powered automation features are all there. Here is the honest caveat, though. Forrester described this merger as a bold, high-risk, high-reward gambit, and that characterization is fair. As of mid-2026, platform unification is, per Clary's own FAQ, still coming in the future. Today you are effectively buying 4 overlapping products with separate pricing and no fully unified product roadmap. Clary's AI Copilot adds roughly $100 per user per month on top of base pricing. Full implementation can take 90 to 120 days and often requires the vendor's services team. The verdict? If you are an enterprise organization where forecast accuracy is the non-negotiable priority, and you have the implementation capacity and budget, Clary plus Salesloft is one of the most complete platforms available. If you are a smaller team that needs to be up and running fast, it may be more complexity than the return justifies. People.ai. People.ai is the unsung workhorse of the revenue intelligence stack, and it deserves more attention than it typically gets. The platform's core focus is activity capture and CRM data enrichment. It automatically logs every meeting, email, and sales interaction directly to your CRM without a rep touching a single field. What that produces is something deceptively powerful: clean, complete, and current CRM data. Here is why that matters more than people realize. The forecasting and deal intelligence on every other platform in this list is only as good as the data it ingests. If your CRM has 40% of activities missing because reps are not logging everything, your forecasts are built on sand. People.ai fixes the foundation. The platform also maps relationships and engagement patterns across accounts, giving RevOps teams visibility into which stakeholders are actually engaged in a deal versus which ones are just listed as contacts. Deal risk surfaces when engagement patterns thin out before the rep registers the warning sign consciously. Where People.ai falls short is depth. It places less emphasis on conversation-level insights and pattern recognition compared to platforms like Gong. If you want to understand what is being said in calls and how that language links to win rates, People.ai is not your primary tool for that. It excels at giving you the cleanest possible activity data and account engagement visibility. 6 cents. If the rest of the platforms on this list are about what is happening inside your pipeline, 6 cents is about what is happening outside of it. Specifically, which of your target accounts are actively in market before they ever contact you. 6 Sense's Revenue AI platform combines account-based intelligence with third-party intent data to surface buying signals across your entire addressable market. It identifies which accounts are showing research behavior, competitor comparisons, category content consumption, pricing lookups, and assigns each account a buying stage and priority score. The goal is to give your sales team the ability to reach out to accounts at the precise moment of highest receptivity rather than cold calling from a static list. For teams running mature ABM programs, 6 Sense is a powerful tool. It also includes programmatic advertising capabilities, so marketing can activate demand toward in-market accounts while sales simultaneously engages them through direct outreach. The limitations are worth noting. 87% of organizations using intent data platforms report some level of unreliable or inflated signals, according to demand science. Intent data is probabilistic. It tells you that a company is researching a category, not that a specific buyer is ready to sign. 6 Sense is stronger for identifying accounts to target than for telling your reps exactly how to engage them once they have identified the target. And pricing is significant. The platform typically starts at $50,000 per year for enterprise tiers. Still, for enterprise marketing and RevOps teams where demand generation strategy is the primary driver, 6 Sense belongs in the conversation. Revenue.io. Revenue.io occupies a specific and well-defined niche, real-time coaching during live sales calls. And in that niche, it is one of the most effective tools available. While Gong excels at post-call analysis and Clary excels at pipeline forecasting, Revenue.io's core differentiator is what happens during the conversation. The platform listens to live calls and surfaces coaching prompts in real time, handling objections, suggesting next best responses, flagging when a rep has been talking too long without letting the prospect speak. For teams with newer reps who need consistent in-the-moment guidance, or organizations selling in regulated industries where messaging compliance is critical, Revenue.io fills a gap that other platforms do not prioritize. It is a Salesforce native platform, which means for teams already deep in that ecosystem, implementation friction is relatively low. The trade-off is breadth. Revenue.io trails the major platforms on historical analytics, pattern recognition, and forecasting depth. It focuses on real-time action, not retrospective analysis. Pair it with Gong or Clary for a complete picture, rather than expecting it to replace them. Aviso AI Aviso is the platform most buyers overlook, and that is a mistake for the organizations where it fits. Aviso is a pure-play AI forecasting platform that claims 98% forecast accuracy, and independent reviews largely support that positioning. It is built for large sales organizations where a 5 to 10% improvement in forecast accuracy has a material dollar impact on business decisions. The platform uses what it calls a guided intelligence approach. Rather than just surfacing a forecast number, it provides prescriptive recommendations on which deals to prioritize and which actions will most likely move the number. Aviso also includes conversation intelligence and coaching features, which means it is increasingly competing in the full-stack space. For organizations where the CFO or CRO is the primary sponsor of the Revenue Intelligence Initiative, and where the core need is a defensible, statistically rigorous forecast, Aviso is worth a serious evaluation alongside Clary. Chorus by ZoomInfo. If your organization is already embedded in the ZoomInfo ecosystem, Chorus is the path of least resistance to conversation intelligence, and it offers something genuinely unique that standalone conversation intelligence tools cannot match. ZoomInfo's acquisition of Chorus created a hybrid that bridges external market intelligence and internal conversation data. Other platforms tell you what happened in your calls. Chorus enriches those insights with ZoomInfo's contact and company intelligence, so when a competitor gets mentioned on a call, your reps can instantly see every account in the pipeline where that competitor has been making moves. That external enrichment layer gives account executives a level of competitive context that is difficult to replicate with standalone tools. The trade-off: Chorus's conversation intelligence features are competent but not as sophisticated as Gong's pattern recognition in pure call analysis. It is a strong choice for teams where the ZoomInfo data integration is additive, not necessarily for teams that need the deepest possible conversation analytics without the ZoomInfo context. Now let's talk about 3 things that cut across every platform. The capabilities that determine whether a revenue intelligence deployment actually succeeds or quietly becomes another underused subscription. Data hygiene comes first. Every platform on this list is only as good as the data it ingests. Before you deploy any revenue intelligence tool, audit your CRM. Incomplete records, contacts with no activity logged, deals sitting in stages for months with no updates. These are not just hygiene problems, they are forecasting errors waiting to happen. People.ai can help solve the ongoing capture problem, but the historical debt needs to be addressed before you expect any AI forecast to be meaningful. Adoption is a culture decision, not a technology decision. The single biggest reason revenue intelligence deployments fail is rep resistance. Sales reps have historically seen call recording and activity tracking as surveillance tools, something management uses to check up on them, not something that helps them close more deals. The teams that win on adoption reframe the narrative from day one. This tool handles your CRM updates automatically, so you spend less time on admin and more time selling. When reps experience that benefit directly, when they realize the system logged the meeting summary and updated the opportunity stage without them touching anything, adoption accelerates. Measure the right outcomes. Do not evaluate your revenue intelligence platform based on login rates or dashboard views. Measure forecast variance, specifically whether you are moving from the typical 15 to 20% swing in the final weeks of a quarter down toward the 3 to 5% accuracy that the best platforms consistently deliver. Measure coaching impact on win rates. Measure CRM data completeness before and after deployment. These are the numbers that will tell you whether the platform is actually moving the business. So which platform belongs in your stack? Here is how to think about it. If your primary pain is understanding what is happening in customer conversations and coaching your team based on actual behavior, Gong is the default choice. The ecosystem maturity, the breadth of AI features, and the depth of the revenue graph make it the most complete platform for conversation-led intelligence. If your primary pain is forecasting accuracy and pipeline visibility at enterprise scale, and you want engagement execution bundled under one contract, the merged Clary and Salesloft platform is the most comprehensive option, with the caveat that implementation requires serious planning and budget. If you want to identify in-market accounts before they ever raise their hand, Sixth Sense belongs at the top of your evaluation list for the account intelligence layer. If you want real-time rep coaching during live calls, especially for teams with newer reps or compliance requirements, Revenue.io fills that specific need better than anyone. And if you are already inside the ZoomInfo ecosystem and want conversation intelligence with built-in market context, Chorus is the most frictionless path. The era of the sales managers spending their week combing through spreadsheets and updating a forecast manually is over. The revenue leaders who are winning right now are operating differently. They are using AI-generated insights to guide strategy, spot risk early, and coach their teams on the behaviors that actually drive outcomes, not what happened last quarter, what is happening right now, and what to do about it next. The tools are here. The data is clear. Revenue intelligence is not a nice-to-have anymore. It is the infrastructure layer that every serious revenue organization is building on. Drop a comment and tell me which platform you are currently using or evaluating. I want to know where your team is at. And if you found this useful, make sure you subscribe so you catch the deep dive comparisons we are releasing over the next few weeks. I'll see you in the next one.